Does anybody have any questions for Mark or something they'd like to say?
Yeah, I do, Tim. This is Mike Mason. I'm just curious, Tim. Have you ever considered the possibility that you may have been here before and taken part in some of these terrible injustices that you've been so correctly identifying?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
That I've been here before. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are you talking about reincarnation?
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever considered the possibility that you may have been here before and actually been involved and taken part in some of these injustices that you are now identifying?
No, I don't believe in reincarnation.
Good enough.
Thanks, Mike and Mark. Dwayne is back, and again, Mark, Dwayne is the founder of the Wonderful Worldwide Educators nonprofit. It's an educational environmental group, and so far, what he's heard, he agrees with a lot of what you're saying, particularly the solar radiation management, the geoengineering, that anything we do as humans to add to nature usually becomes distorted. So do we really need it? So I think Dwayne agrees with you in that respect. And here's Dwayne right now.
Hello, Mark. Thank you very much for joining us as Worldwide Educators, because we're just trying to do our little part to share with the world. And so thank you very much for stepping up. You're very brave. We ask many people to have interviews with us, and many times they're reluctant, but we're just all about the all-natural environment and supporting it, and see it as very important. And looking back 300 years, when the cowboy and Indian days to now, things have changed really radically, and are they really getting better? So it's very important to look at all this, isn't it?
Yes, I would agree. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, no, thank you very much. Yes, we do a whole lot. I'm a writer myself. I was a general contractor for 40 years. Then I got into the humanitarian programs, and I'm doing things worldwide, etc., setting up different projects because this is my adventure also. And my friend Val here and Eric and Kelsey Brown and others, we do a whole lot on Facebook. I've got about almost 2,000 groups there, about 4,000 titles on lulu.com, etc. And so I'm very prolific at what I do, and I'm very concerned. And so I've signed up myself like you have, and to see how this adventure comes out with this presidential idea. So, but the biggest part is just to, let people know what's going on in the world, because it's very, very real, and we have a lot more challenges coming up here with the 5G and things like this, and what's going on, etc. So it's a lot bigger picture than most people realize, more than just the marketing of things.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you running, did I hear correctly, you're running in the Green Party?
Well, we looked at all of them. I thought about creating my own, but then I thought, I got plenty to do as it is, so to do that would be a lot. So it was just easier to sign up with them. There's the idea there's that and a lot more, and anything that I can contribute and help people understand what's going on, because we all have our own experiences, and I see that as very important. And again, it's like the animals and the birds, and in the past, the Indians, they didn't destroy the natural environment, and everything seems to be chasing money and progress. Well, there's many ways to do that, but we're coming to a point where, everything's poisoned and polluted, and it's really time to look at things more than just putting on events and political speeches and sound good words, but actually doing something. And it's going to take a lot. And I see it as all as agreement. And as long as people are agreeing, well, then things go on. They can be good people, but they're still agreeing to what's taking place. So agreement is a huge thing to look at and to really understand. So it's not necessarily, I don't see petitioning those that, rule society so much, but that as people decide differently and they recognize what they're agreeing to, that's very important, then there can be a change.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So how has your campaign been going?
Well, I'm just casually doing it because I have other things that I'm doing, and this is just part of it. Again, to let people know it's another avenue to let people know about paying attention to the environment more than just recycling their soda cans. And so that's a cute idea, but that's not going to do it. So. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot to understand. I'm learning myself all the time. So my campaign is really with the wonderful worldwide educators and what we're doing, and actually sharing what's going on with the all-natural environment in many areas, many levels, etc. So that becomes a bigger adventure for people to understand.
Okay.
Yeah, so yes, just it entails everything. So and anything that makes sense. Yes, sir. So with that said, you're wonderful. Thank you again for showing up. Good luck to you. We'll see you out there. And here's Val.
Thank you. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, great, Mark. You make a lot of sense. I'm just, a lot of politicians are out there just talking their talk, and you seem to be a lot more real with what's going on with the world right now as it is, and not just giving a speech. And so we really appreciate that you're so real about present events. It's really about what's going on now, and then you're addressing that the best you can. So
yeah.
Tim,
really, at this. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I was going to give it back to Tim when you're done.
I was going to say, really, at the center of what I'm trying to do is there's a native leader from the Dene people in Canada. His name is George Erasmus, and he says that where common memory is lacking and where people do not share in the same past, there can be no real community. If you want to build a community, he said, you have to start by creating common memory. I love that quote. I think it's genius. It gets to the heart of our nation's problem with race, gender, and class, which is we don't have a common memory. We have a white majority that remembers a mythological history of discovery and expansion, opportunity and exceptionalism. And we have communities of color, we have women, we have LGBTQ, we have these other minority communities that have the lived experience of stolen lands and broken treaties, slavery and Jim Crow laws, boarding schools and Indian massacres. We have white nationalist terrorism. We have internment camps. We have segregation. And we have families being separated at the borders. And there's no common memory. And community is really at a very low point right now, whether it's politically or religiously or economically. We've lost our ability to communicate and to be in community with one another. And so one of the things I'm trying to do on a really broad scale is to create space for this common memory, to teach this common memory. Because I'm convinced that in doing this, in leading into this dialogue on race, gender, and class, this Truth and Reconciliation Commission, in not only just campaigning for president, but by teaching our history and helping people to understand how the problems and the challenges we're facing today are not current to the day only. They're rooted in what's in our history that has been unresolved or never been addressed or never been remembered. And so if we really want to solve these problems, we want to create better community, we have to build this common memory and begin to deal with our past. Now, I have a book coming out in a few days. I actually just got my first copy of it in the mail the other day. It's called Unselling Truth, the Ongoing Dehumanizing Legacy of the Doctrine of Discovery. And it lays out a lot of this history, and it's a critique of both the nation and the church, and how not only was this doctrine of discovery written, but what impact and influence it's had on our nation as a whole. And it will be due in bookstores on November 5th, but it really is, it's not the sum of everything I talk about, but it is a very good collection of what I'm trying to address and what is it that we need to find a way to move forward as a group of people.
Great, Mark. Thanks. Yes, it would be a wonderful thing if people became aware of what really makes sense to survive and enjoy, or whatever you want to call it, have a life that is something that is valued for everyone. Does anyone else have any questions for Mark or something they'd like to say? Or Mark, do you have anything else you'd like to mention?
Well, if people want to learn more about my campaign, they can go to my website, which is markcharles2020.com. And on my website, I have a 9-minute announcement video where I lay out in this video my assessment of the challenges we're facing and my proposals of what we need to do to move forward. It's a video that really kind of captures the heart of what we've been talking about some today, not with the environment per se, but with the bigger picture of the entire nation. And I encourage people to go to my website. They can learn more about my campaign. As we said earlier, we mentioned earlier, after the last Democratic debate in Houston, I filmed a 2-hour webinar where I responded to many of the same questions and issues that were brought up during that debate, and I laid those out. So we talked about foreign policy, we talked about the environment, we talked about immigration reform, we talked about gun control, we talked about racism, and that video is up on my website and at my YouTube channel. And you can also follow me online. We have a Facebook page under Mark Charles 2020, and then my personal social media, which is Wireless Hogan, WIRELESSHOGAN. That's my handle on Twitter. And on Facebook, my handle is Mark Charles Wireless Hogan. That's my professional page on Facebook. And then Instagram is also Wireless Hogan. So my campaign and myself personally is out on social media pretty heavily, and people can learn more about what I'm doing, learn more about my campaign. They can follow up there. They can contact us. They can donate to our campaign, anything they want to do from our website and from our social media. So it's been a pleasure to be with you. And I thank you for giving me the space to talk about some of these issues, especially around the environment, because I think they are definitely issues that we need to begin addressing, and we have to find a way to talk about the entirety of the problem, and to prepare our nation and the world for the decisions we have to make if we're going to survive and move forward.
Well, thank you for being with us, Mark, and good luck. Unless somebody else has something that they'd like to ask or say, we'll just end the show.
Thank you, Mark, again from Dean Val and Dwayne. Really appreciate it. I appreciate that you're real and sincere about what you're doing, and good luck with your journey.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And if we have a few minutes, I just want to make sure people understand that I'm not running a protest campaign. You know, I'm not just trying to raise issues. I'm not just trying to change the dialogue. If I were doing that, I probably would have run as a Democrat. You know, I could have raised more money. I could have gotten into the debates. I could have gotten more publicity. But I never would have been nominated. The Democratic Party never would have nominated me. The same with the Republican Party. Running as an independent is probably the most difficult path to the White House. You have to get on the ballot in all 50 states. Our press does not really see or acknowledge independent candidates. So running as an independent has a host of challenges, as well as the fact that I'm Native and I'm coming with this very strong critique of our foundations and what needs to happen. You know, these are all very difficult challenges to get to the White House, but running as an independent is the only path that actually lets me get there. And so, I want people to understand that I'm not running a protest campaign. I am running because I absolutely believe I am the most qualified person to do this job, and I believe I have a vision that can actually help move our nation forward. And I am running with this campaign because I am prepared to win. I know it's going to be a long shot, but I definitely, we have a strategy that actually allows us, that actually has a path for us to actually get to the White House. And so I invite people to continue following my campaign, to continue engaging with me on these issues, to listening to the things that we put out. And, you know, I've been very, very grateful for the opportunities I've had, not just to do interviews and podcasts like this, but for all the opportunities I've been able to do. There was actually a Native forum just a few weeks ago. It was in the end of August, the third week of August. It was the Frank Lemire Native American Presidential Forum. It was only the second Native American Presidential Forum in the history of our nation, and the first forum that actually had top-tier candidates. There were 10 Democratic candidates and myself at the forum: Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Julian Castro. Several of the top Democratic candidates were there, and then I was there. And it gave us a chance to address issues from Native elders, from Native youth, from Native leaders, and to talk about the role of Native America as a voting bloc, but also the issues of Native Americans that need to be addressed in our nation. And it was a wonderful opportunity for me to be on the same stage as the other Democratic candidates, and to really demonstrate, not only for the people who were there, but for the press who were in attendance, that this is a very viable campaign. Esquire wrote an article after that campaign, and their article was titled, "Elizabeth Warren was well received at the Native American Forum, but Mark Charles was the main event." And so it was wonderful to hear people and see the press acknowledge not only my understanding of the issues, but my ability to communicate to them and actually to connect with voters and communicate the values and the vision that I have for our country. So, thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience. Thank you for the opportunity to address environmental issues. And I am very excited about the next 15 months as we go into the end of 2019 and move into 2020 and move past and through the primary and into the general election. So I'm in this journey for the long haul, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. So, Akiahat, and in Navajo we would say Hakonet, which does not mean goodbye. It means we will see you later.
Thanks again, Mark, and see you later. I
All
guess
right.
unless anybody else has something they'd want to mention, I'll end the show with singing a song to try to get the real connection to real guidance and a real education. Knew you. See you, everybody.